I found the invitation to my wife's VP celebration in her car. My name wasn't on it. Her ex-boyfriend was seated with her parents in the spot that should have been mine. That's when I realized this wasn't a mistake. I stood there in the driveway holding that invitation, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they forgot. But deep down, I knew better. Jennifer walked out a few minutes later, coffee in her hand, phone pressed to her ear. She didn't even notice me at first. When she finally looked up, her smile slipped. "Hey," she said. "You're still here." I didn't answer. I just held up the invitation. And for a second, she froze. "What is this?" I asked. She looked at it, then back at me. "It's not what you think," she said. That was the moment I knew. It was exactly what I thought. "Then explain it," I said. She crossed her arms. Always did that when she was about to lie. "My parents handled the seating," she said. "It's a corporate event. They care about appearances." "Appearances?" I said. "So your husband doesn't make the list? But your ex does?" She didn't answer right away. And that silence told me everything. I got in my truck and drove off. I told myself it didn't matter, that it was just one night. But something about it didn't sit right, and I couldn't let it go. So later that day, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my accountant. "Hey," I said, "I need you to check something for me." There was a pause. "What kind of something?" he asked. "All of it," I said. "Every account, every transaction, the last 2 years." Another pause. That was my first mistake. Because 2 days later, he called me back, and his voice was different. "Mike," he said, "you need to come in." I got there the same morning. He already had everything laid out on his desk. Papers, statements, printouts, the kind of setup that tells you, this isn't small. "Tell me what I'm looking at," I said. He didn't answer right away. He just picked up one sheet and slid it across the table. "Your joint savings account," he said. I frowned. "That's our retirement fund." He nodded slowly. "Was," he said. Something in my chest tightened. "How much is left?" He looked at me. "Not the papers." "Me." 42,000. I didn't react. Couldn't. Because 3 seconds earlier, I still thought everything was fine. "Where did it go?" I asked. He pulled another page forward. And that's when I saw it. The name. Parker Hospitality Ventures. Ethan. I stared at the paper, trying to make it make sense. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe it wasn't him. But deep down, I already knew. "Is that the only transfer?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just reached for another stack. Then another. And another. Same name. Over and over again. Months. Money moving out. Piece by piece. "Mike," he said quietly, "this has been going on for a while." My head started spinning. "Who authorized this?" I asked. He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. "Jennifer has access," he said. That's when it hit me. Not all at once. Slow. Heavy. Like something collapsing inside my chest. "No," I said. "She wouldn't do that." But even as I said it, I didn't believe it anymore. I left his office in a fog. I don't even remember the drive home. Just pieces of it. Traffic lights. Voices on the radio I wasn't listening to. All I could think about was one question. How long? Because this didn't feel new. This felt planned. That's when something clicked. Around that time, my business started taking hits. Clients I'd worked with for years, just gone. No warning. No explanation. At the time, I told myself it was just bad luck. But now, it didn't feel like luck anymore. Felt like a pattern. And patterns mean one thing. Someone is behind them. So I went back through everything. Emails, contracts, old messages, looking for anything I missed. And then, I found it. A name I'd ignored before. Ethan. Again. In places he shouldn't have been. In conversations he wasn't part of. Too many coincidences. That was my second mistake. Thinking it stopped at money. Because it didn't. Not even close. Digging deeper only made it worse. That was answer enough. I found the invitation by accident. Earlier that week, I was looking for my insurance card in her car. We'd been meaning to add her vehicle to my policy. Save a few bucks. That's when I saw the envelope wedged between the passenger seat and the center console. MedTech Solutions cordially invites you to celebrate Nay Bennett's promotion to Vice President of Sales. That Friday evening, a private business club. Dinner and reception to follow. Below that, in smaller print, it said reserved seating for immediate family. I pulled out the seating chart tucked inside, alphabetical by last name. There was her name, Nay Bennett. 2 seats at table 3. Her parents, Richard and Margaret Bennett, were listed. Her brother, Eric Bennett, and his wife were on there too. I wasn't on it. Not at her table. Not at any table. I stood in the driveway holding that invitation for a long time, watching the paper shake a little in my hand. Not from anger, not yet. Just that hollow feeling you get when you suddenly realize you've been background noise in your own marriage. Jennifer came out 20 minutes later, coffee mug in hand, already on her phone. At first, she didn't notice me standing there. When she did, her smile slipped just a little. "Hey, babe," Jennifer said, her voice too bright. "Thought you'd already left for one of my locations." I held up the invitation without saying a word. Her face did something complicated. Not exactly guilt, not exactly defiance. Somewhere in the middle. "Oh," she said. "Oh," I repeated. "Your big promotion celebration. The one I'm apparently not invited to." Jennifer carefully set her coffee mug on the hood of her car, like she was buying herself a few seconds to think. I watched her face move through 3 different expressions before she finally landed on something halfway between apologetic and defensive. "Mike, it's not what you think," she said. "Then tell me what it is," I said. "Because what I think is that my wife got promoted to VP and I'm not invited to watch her celebrate it." Jennifer crossed her arms. That's always been her tell. When she's about to say something she knows I'm not going to like, she crosses her arms like she's shielding herself from the truth. "My parents requested the seating arrangements," she said. "Optics," I repeated. "Your dad cares so much about optics that his son-in-law of 21 years doesn't even make the guest list? It's complicated, Mike." "Then uncomplicate it." Jennifer looked away toward the street, where our neighbor was walking his dog. "Anywhere but at me. They think Ethan should be there." The name hit me like cold water. Ethan Parker. Her college boyfriend. The guy she dated for 2 years before we met. Some hospitality consultant who wore expensive suits and talked about restaurant profit margins like they were gospel. I'd met him exactly twice. Once at Jennifer's company retreat 4 years ago. Once at her father's birthday party last summer. Both times he looked at me like I worked for him. "Ethan," I said. "Your ex-boyfriend Ethan. That Ethan. He's consulting with my company now," Jennifer said, her voice picking up that defensive edge. "He's actually really valuable to the team." "That's great, Jen. Really great. But that still doesn't explain why he gets a seat at your celebration and I don't." She finally looked at me, her jaw tight. "Because my parents like him, okay? They always have. They think he's more their speed." "Their speed." She trailed off, but the rest of it hung there anyway. "Isn't exactly impressive to people like them." I felt something shift in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Something colder than that. "So let me make sure I understand this," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Your parents like your ex-boyfriend more than your husband, and instead of telling them that's insane, you just went along with it. Didn't even mention it to me. Just let me find out by accident." "I was going to tell you," Jennifer said. But even she didn't sound like she believed it. "When?" "Friday night, when I asked how the party went." She didn't answer. Just stood there in the driveway, arms still crossed, looking at me like I was the one being unreasonable. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "It's not that you didn't fight for me. It's that you didn't even think I'd care enough to fight back." I handed her the invitation. She took it but didn't even look down at it. "I need to get to one of my locations," I said. "Inventory deliveries come in at 9. I walked past her, got in my truck, and drove off. In the rearview mirror, she was still standing in the driveway, holding that cream-colored envelope like it might burn her. But here's the thing about quiet people. We don't always show when we're hurt. We just start making plans. The one of my locations across town needed me, but not as much as I needed it. Sometimes you just need something to pull you out of your own head, and counting inventory works as well as anything. Besides, I do my best thinking when my hands are busy. Around 2 in the afternoon, I called my accountant, Robert Simmons, 68 years old. He's been handling my books since I opened the first location 15 years ago. Sharp as they come. Robert, I need you to pull something for me, I said. All joint account activity for the last 2 years. Everything Jennifer and I share. Checking, savings, investment accounts. That's a lot of paperwork, Mike, Robert said. What am I looking for? I don't know yet. Just anything that looks off. Big withdrawals, unusual transfers, anything I didn't approve. There was a pause. Robert's not dumb. He's been married 43 years. He knew exactly what a request like that meant. I'll have it for you by Thursday, he said. Thanks, Robert, and keep this between us. Always do. I hung up and went back to work, but my mind wouldn't let it go. Around that time, clients I trusted for years started disappearing. I chalked it up to bad luck at the time. Now I wasn't so sure. That evening, Jennifer came home late again. Said she'd been in a strategy meeting with the VP team, getting ready for the transition. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. Asked how my day went. Started making dinner like we were still the kind of couple who told each other everything. Ethan called today, she said, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. Casual. Too casual. He wanted to confirm some details about Friday's event. I'm sure he did, I said. Jennifer glanced at me. Mike, please don't be like this. Like what? Like a husband who just found out he's been replaced by your ex at the biggest night of your career. You haven't been replaced. You're being dramatic. I set my beer down and looked straight at her. When did Ethan start consulting for your company? I told you, he's been helping with distribution strategies. When did it start? She turned back to the stove. Maybe 6 or 7 months ago. I don't remember exactly. Try harder. Why does it matter, Mike? Because 7 months ago, one of my locations across town started bleeding contracts to a competitor. And I'm wondering if those two things might be connected. Jennifer's stirring paused for just a second. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. You think Ethan is feeding information to your competitors? That's paranoid even for you. Is it? He's a hospitality consultant. He knows the industry. He's been working with you, which means he's been around our conversations, around our financial discussions. You tell him things about my business. Of course not. You sure about that? Because you didn't tell me you were working with him at all. So forgive me if I'm not exactly taking your word for it. The sauce started bubbling over. Jennifer turned off the heat, moved the pan, and just stood there with her back to me, her shoulders tight. I think I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight, I said. Mike, I'm not angry, Jen. I'm just tired. I need some space to think. I left her in the kitchen and went upstairs. The guest room still had boxes in it from when we moved Chloe Carter's stuff out for college. I pushed them aside, laid down on the bed, and stared up at the ceiling. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe Carter. Hey, Dad, can we talk this weekend? Something's been on my mind. I stared at that message for a long time before answering. Of course, honey. Call me whenever. She didn't reply right away. That wasn't like her. Chloe Carter always answered right off. I set the phone down and closed my eyes, but I wasn't sleeping. I was thinking about timelines, about coincidences that didn't feel like coincidences, about my daughter's strange message and my wife's easy lies. By the way, if you're listening to this and it's hitting close to home, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Helps more than you'd think. Most of you watching aren't subscribed yet, and it really helps the channel if you do. Robert called Thursday morning while I was opening the downtown location. Mike, you need to come into my office, he said. No greeting, no small talk, That's how I knew it was bad. I got there by 10. Robert had papers spread all over his desk like it was some kind of crime scene. Bank statements, transaction records, copies of checks I'd never seen before. "Tell me what I'm looking at," I said. Robert pointed to the first stack. "Joint savings account. You and Jennifer. 3 years ago, you had over $200,000 in there. Money from your dad's life insurance, plus what you saved from the franchises. Right? That's our retirement fund." "Was your retirement fund?" Robert said. He slid another paper toward me. 18 months ago, Jennifer, she made a series of large withdrawals over time. My stomach dropped. I never approved that. Signature is yours, though. I looked at the withdrawal slip. It was my signature, or a very clean copy of it. "I didn't sign this, Robert." "Then we've got a problem." He pulled out more documents. 6 months later, same thing. Your signature, no discussion. 3 months after that. "How much is left?" 42,000. I leaned back in the chair. Nearly a significant amount of money. Gone. Where did it go? Robert handed me another sheet. Wire transfers. All to the same LLC. Parker Hospitality Ventures. Ethan Parker. Of course it was. "There's more," Robert said. And somehow, I knew it was about to get worse. "Your business accounts, someone's been accessing the financial records. Not taking money directly, but pulling reports. Everything." "How?" "Shared login credentials. Jennifer is listed as co-owner for tax purposes. Remember? She has admin access to the accounting system. These pulls, when? After hours. Late evening. Around 9 or 10. When you're usually asleep." "Yeah, I am." I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were just living their normal Thursday. Getting coffee, heading to work, moving through a day that hadn't just cracked open underneath them. "There's one more thing," Robert said quietly. I turned back around. "I pulled the business registration for Velocity Cafe, the competitor taking your contracts. I already knew somehow. Silent partner listed as Parker Hospitality Ventures. Registered months earlier." The room felt smaller all of a sudden. Ethan Parker wasn't just consulting with my wife. He was using information from my business to compete against me. Using my money to build it. And Jennifer, she'd been helping him do it the whole time. "What do I do, Robert?" He looked at me over his reading glasses. "Legally, you document everything. Protect yourself. Get a lawyer. And personally," Robert folded his hands, "you decide if you want to fight or walk away. But Mike, if you walk away, you do it smart. You don't leave anything behind that can come back and hurt you." I drove home in a fog. When I got there, the house was empty. Jennifer was at work, probably sitting in meetings with Ethan, planning strategies, laughing about something, not thinking about me at all. I went into the garage and found what I was looking for. 3 boxes labeled college files, in Jennifer's handwriting. Old paperwork she never threw away. I opened the first box and started digging. Buried at the bottom, a thank you card dated 22 years ago. Jennifer's junior year. The year before we met. "Thanks for the getaway to Silver Creek. Next one's on me. Let's not wait so long between visits. Yours, Ethan." Silver Creek. That was 7 hours away. Jennifer had told me she spent that spring break volunteering at a homeless shelter. I remembered it clearly, because I felt guilty for going to Cancun with my friends while she was off doing something good. She hadn't been at a shelter. She'd been in a cabin with Ethan. I sat on the garage floor holding that card, and something cold settled in my chest. Not rage. Not even hurt anymore. Just clarity. Clean, sharp clarity. She'd been lying to me from the beginning, and she got so comfortable with it that she stopped being careful. That was her mistake. Friday morning started like any other. Jennifer's alarm went off at 6. I heard the shower running, heard her moving around the bedroom, heard the closet door open and close as she picked out something for the big day. I was already awake, had been for hours, lying in the guest room, watching the ceiling go from black to gray as the morning light came through the window. By 7, I was dressed. Jeans, work boots, my old college hoodie. Jennifer was in the kitchen, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when I came down the stairs. "Morning," she said, careful, like she was testing the temperature. "Morning," I said. "You working at the downtown location today?" "That's the plan." She nodded, took a sip of coffee. "So, about tonight." "Have a great time," I said. "You've earned it." Something flickered across her face. Relief, maybe, like she expected a fight and was glad not to get one. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot." I poured myself coffee. Black, no sugar. Same way I've been drinking it for 20 years. "What time does it start?" 7. "But I need to be there by 6 for photos and pre-reception stuff." "Makes sense." "Mike, She stopped, then started again. "I know this has been weird, but after tonight, things will settle down. We can talk. Really talk about everything." "Okay. Sure," I said. "After tonight." She smiled. Small, a little uncertain, but real. Then she kissed my cheek and left for work. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after her car pulled away, thinking about that kiss, about how easy it is to lie with a smile. Then I got to work. My first call was to Robert. Transfer my half of the joint accounts into my personal business account. Everything. Do it this morning. "Mike, that's going to trigger alerts." "I know. Do it anyway. And remove me from every joint authorization. Credit cards, utilities, anything with both our names. I want my name off everything by end of business today." "You sure about this?" "I've never been more sure of anything." My second call was to my lawyer, Patricia Rise, 56 years old. Best family attorney in the across the city. I'd met her twice at Chamber of Commerce events. Never thought I'd actually need her. "Patricia, it's Mike Harrison. I need to retain you today." "What's going on, Mike?" "My wife's been draining our accounts to fund her ex-boyfriend's business. She's been feeding him information from my franchises, and I need to make sure when this blows up, I'm protected." There was a pause. "Come to my office at 9. Bring everything you have." I spent 90 minutes in Patricia's office. I showed her the bank records, the forged signatures, the LLC documents, the timeline of my business losses lining up perfectly with Ethan Parker's gains. She took notes, asked questions. By the time I left, I had a plan. "File separation papers Monday," Patricia said. "Don't tell her it's coming. Don't give her time to move assets or shape a story. You hit first, you hit hard, and you hit with documentation." "What do I do, Robert?" He looked at me over his glasses, studying me for a second. "Legally, you document everything. Protect yourself. Get a lawyer. And personally," Robert folded his hands slowly, "you decide if you want to fight or walk away. But Mike, if you walk away, you do it smart. You don't leave anything behind that can come back and bite you." "But Chloe Carter, I need you to stay out of the middle of this. You understand?" "I'm already in the middle, Dad. She's my mom. You're my dad. There's no way I'm not in it." "Then let me make it simple. I'm leaving your mom. I'm filing for separation. It's gonna get messy. But no matter what happens, no matter what she says or what your grandparents say, you need to know something." "What?" "I love you. That doesn't change. Not ever. You don't have to pick sides. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to be my daughter. That's all I need from you." Chloe Carter was crying now. "I love you too, Dad." "I know, sweetheart. Now listen, turn around and go back to campus. Don't come home this weekend. Trust me on this." "But, Chloe Carter, please. Let me handle this part." She went quiet for a long moment. "Okay. But Dad, when this is over, when everything settles, I'm on your side, just so you know." "I appreciate that, honey. More than you think." We hung up. I sat there in the storage unit, surrounded by proof of my wife's betrayal, and felt something shift again. Not anger, not hurt, something colder, something final. I pulled up Jennifer's Instagram. She'd posted 10 minutes earlier. A picture of her at the podium, mid-speech, smiling out at the crowd. Caption: "Asterisk grateful for this incredible opportunity and everyone who believed in me." Asterisk. The comments were already piling up. Asterisk congratulations. Asterisk. Asterisk well deserved. Asterisk. Asterisk so proud of you. Asterisk. I tapped into the tagged photos. Someone had posted a wider shot of the room. I zoomed in on table 3. There was her father, Richard. Her mother, Susan. Her brother, David. And right next to Susan, smiling like he belonged there, was Ethan Parker. He was sitting in my place at her celebration. Sitting with my in-laws. Probably raising a glass to her success with money he took from me. I took a screenshot, added it to my evidence folder, labeled it asterisk November 15th, the night she made her decision. Asterisk. Then I turned off my phone and headed to the hotel I'd already booked. Extended stay. Month to month. 1 room, small kitchenette, no questions asked. I ordered a burger from room service. Ate it while some game played in the background that I didn't care about. Took a shower. Laid down on a bed that wasn't mine. In a room that smelled like industrial cleaner. And for the first time in weeks I slept. Because the hard part was over. The wondering. The doubting. The part where I kept hoping I was wrong. Now I knew. And once I knew, I could act. Saturday morning, my phone rang at 8. Jennifer. I let it ring 4 times before picking up. Not to be cruel, just long enough for her to feel that pause. Mike, she said when I answered. Her voice was tight, controlled. Where are you? Does it matter? Of course it matters. You left. You took your things and didn't say a word. I came home last night and you were just gone. How was the party? That threw her. I could hear it in the silence. What? Your celebration. How was it? Did Ethan enjoy sitting at your table with your parents? Another pause. Longer this time. Mike, if this is about the seating. It's not about the seating, Jennifer. It's about $200,000. Silence. Total silence. I could picture her face, the color draining right out of it. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. Yeah, you do. Parker Hospitality Ventures. The LLC you've been funneling our retirement money into. Ethan's little project, the one he used to open Velocity Cafe and take my contracts. Mike, I can explain. Can you explain the forged signatures? Because Robert showed me the withdrawal slips. That's my name on documents I never signed. That's fraud, Jennifer. That's a felony. Her breathing changed. Faster now. You've been talking to lawyers. Of course I have. What did you think I was going to do? Just let you clean me out? It wasn't stealing. It was an investment. An investment? Ethan needed startup money, so you used mine to help him compete against me. And you helped him do it. That's not. You gave him everything. Our financials. Vendor contracts. Pricing. All of it. Everything he needed to undercut my business and pull my clients away. That's not. She stopped, then tried again. Mike, you don't understand the full picture. Then explain it. Explain why my wife spent 18 months taking money from me to fund her ex-boyfriend's business. Explain why you've been meeting him for lunch at your usual spot while telling me you were in meetings. I paused, then added, quieter. Explain the thank you card from Silver Creek. The weekend you told me you were volunteering at a shelter. You went through my things? You went through my bank accounts? We're past privacy, Jennifer. She was crying now. Quiet, but I could hear it. Mike, please, come home. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. Monday morning, you're getting served with separation papers. Tuesday, I'm filing a police report for fraud and identity theft. And by the end of next week, every client you took from me is going to know exactly who Ethan Parker is. You can't do that. That's slander. It's not slander if it's true. And I've got the proof, Jennifer. Bank records, forged signatures, transaction history. Everything your new VP title can't make disappear. She went quiet for a long time. Then what about Chloe Carter? Chloe Carter already knows. She called me last night. You know what she said? She said she's on my side. Even at 19, she can see what you've been doing. Mike, I'm done, Jennifer. With the marriage. With the lies. With pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. You want Ethan? Fine. You can have him. But I'm not willing to let this continue. You don't get to take my money, my business, and my dignity too. I hung up before she could say anything else. My hand was shaking. Not from anger, from relief. I'd finally said it. All of it. The truth I'd been holding in for weeks. My phone rang again right away. I declined it. It rang again. I declined again. Then a text came through. Asterisk, please don't do this. I'm sorry. We can work this out. I love you. Asterisk. I stared at those 3 words for a long time. I love you. 21 years of marriage, and that's what it came down to. I deleted the message and blocked her number. Then I called Chloe Carter. Hey, Dad. She answered. You okay? I'm okay, sweetheart. Just wanted to hear your voice. Mom's been calling me all morning, crying, saying you won't talk to her. That's accurate. Good, Chloe Carter said. Don't. She doesn't deserve it. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Patricia Rice's office. She had 3 folders laid out across the conference table, each thicker than the last. Mike, sit down, Patricia said. We need to go over what I found. I sat, bracing myself. Your wife didn't just take money from you, Patricia said. She committed wire fraud, identity theft, and possibly racketeering, depending on how the DA wants to charge it. Racketeering. She and Ethan Parker have been running a scheme for about 18 months. They used your business information to undercut your franchise locations, then funneled the profits back through their LLC. That's organized activity. Can fall under RICO. I leaned back in the chair. You're telling me my wife is part of something criminal? Technically, yes, but here's where it gets more interesting. Patricia pulled out another document. I had a private investigator look into Ethan Parker. This isn't his first time. She slid the paper across the table. Court records from in multiple states. He was sued by a former business partner for fraud and misuse of funds. Settled out of court 3 years ago. He's done this before. At least once. Probably more. And Jennifer either didn't know or chose not to care. What does that mean for the separation? Patricia gave a thin, sharp smile. It means you have leverage. Criminal exposure tends to make people very cooperative in divorce negotiations. You want the house, you'll get it. You want control over shared assets, you'll get that too. You want restitution for the money she took. She'll agree. Because the alternative is explaining forged signatures in front of a jury. What about Ethan? What about him? Can we go after him too? Patricia leaned forward slightly. Mike, I represent you, not him. But if you chose to file a civil suit against Parker Hospitality Ventures for interference with business relationships and fraud, and if that suit included discovery requests for his financial records, that would be completely within your rights. Do it, I said. You're sure? Civil cases take time. They cost money. I'm sure. I want every dollar back. And I want people in this industry to know exactly who Ethan Parker is. Patricia nodded. I'll have everything ready by Wednesday. I left her office at 10 and drove straight to the downtown location. Tom was behind the counter training the new assistant manager. Boss, he said when he saw me. You look different. Different how? I don't know, lighter maybe. I smiled. Yeah, I said. I finally dropped about 130 pounds of a heavy burden. Tom laughed. Then his face turned serious. Mike, I need to tell you something. That competitor, Velocity Cafe, called me last week, tried to recruit me, and offered significantly more than you're paying. What did you say? I told them to not interested, but they knew our salary structure. Knew exactly how much I was making. Somebody's been feeding them information. Not anymore, I said. That pipeline's been cut off. Tom studied my face. This is about Jennifer, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, man. Don't be. Sometimes problems solve themselves. You just have to let it go. I spent the rest of the day at one of my locations, checking inventory, reviewing accounts, talking to regular customers, and getting back into the rhythm of work. Around 3, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Thomas Bennett, Jennifer's father. We need to talk. I stared at that message for a long time. Thomas Bennett, the man who had left me out of his daughter's celebration because I wasn't successful enough by his standards. I texted back, "Talk to my lawyer, Patricia Rise. She'll give you my terms." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then showed up again. Finally, "This is a family matter. It should stay in the family. Should have thought of that before you invited Ethan Parker to sit in my seat." I wrote back, "We're done here." I blocked the number. My phone rang right away. Margaret Bennett this time. Jennifer's mother. I let it go to voicemail. Then Eric Bennett, Jennifer's brother. Voicemail. Then Jennifer again from a different number. Voicemail. They were circling the wagons. Trying to control the story, trying to make me the villain. But I had something they didn't. Documentation, evidence, the truth. And in the end, that's all that matters. 3 weeks after I filed for separation, Ethan Parker's world started falling apart. Started small. A health inspector showed up at Velocity Cafe and found multiple violations. The place got shut down for a week. Then the in multiple states lawsuit came back up. The business partner Ethan had settled with. Turns out he never actually paid the settlement. He just made 3 payments and disappeared. Now there was a warrant out for his arrest in a different city. My civil suit hit him next. Discovery is a beautiful thing when you're on the right side of it. Ethan had to produce every financial record, every contract, every transaction from the last 3 years. And what we found was a pattern. He'd done this before. Not just in multiple states, but in another state and in a different city too. Always the same setup. Find a struggling business owner's wife, seduce her, get access to financial information, then compete against the husband until the business failed. Jennifer was just the latest one. "Mark," Patricia called me on a Thursday morning. "Mike, Ethan Parker just filed for bankruptcy, personal and business. He's trying to shield his assets before your judgment comes through. Can he do that?" "He can try, but bankruptcy trustees look very closely at asset transfers. And all that money he moved to offshore accounts in the last 6 months? They'll claw that back." "What about Jennifer? She's named as a co-conspirator in the fraud. If Ethan goes down, she goes down with him." I sat with that information for a long time. 21 years of marriage, 1 daughter, and it all came down to this. My wife facing criminal charges because she chose the wrong man to trust. Jennifer called that night. First time I'd answered her call in 3 weeks. "Mike," she said, her voice small and broken. "I need your help." "With what?" "The DA wants to charge me with fraud." Patricia told them about the forged signatures. "They're saying I could face 5 years." "You could. Fraud is a felony. Please, I'm begging you. Drop the charges. Tell them you won't press charges." "Jennifer, I didn't press charges. The DA did. Once they saw the evidence, it was out of my hands." "But you gave them the evidence. You did this to me." "No," I said. "You did this to yourself. You stole from me. You forged my signature. You helped Ethan destroy my business. All I did was document it." She was crying now. "What about Chloe Carter? What happens to her if I go to prison?" "Chloe Carter's 19. She's an adult. She'll be fine. She won't speak to me. She won't return my calls." "That's between you and her." There was a long pause. Then Jennifer said something that caught me off guard. "I'm sorry for all of it. I was stupid. I thought Ethan was going to make me rich. Thought we were building something, but it was all lies." "Yeah," I said. "It was." "Do you hate me?" I thought about that. Did I hate her? No. Hate takes energy, takes caring enough to hold on to anger. And I was done with both. "I don't hate you, Jennifer. I just don't love you anymore. And that's worse, isn't it?" She hung up without answering. The divorce was finalized 8 weeks later. Jennifer signed everything Patricia put in front of her. She didn't fight for the house, didn't fight for the franchises, didn't fight for anything. She was too busy dealing with criminal charges. The DA offered her a deal. Plead guilty to 1 count of fraud, get 2 years of probation, pay restitution. She took it. Ethan wasn't as lucky. 3 counts of fraud, 1 count of identity theft, multiple counts of theft. The judge gave him 4 years. He'd be out in 2 with good behavior. I got the house, got the franchises, got a judgment against Ethan for a significant amount of money that I'd probably never collect. But I got something else too. I got Chloe Carter. She came home for Thanksgiving. We cooked dinner together, just the 2 of us. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, normal stuff. "Dad," she said while we were doing dishes, "are you okay? Really okay?" "Yeah, honey, I really am. I'm proud of you for leaving, for fighting back, for not just taking it." Pulled her into a hug. "You're the best thing that came out of that marriage. You know that." "I know," she said. "You tell me every time I see you." And it was true. 14 months after Jennifer's celebration, I stood at the grand opening of my 4th franchise location. Bigger than the others, better location, premium equipment. Everything I'd been planning before Ethan Parker tried to tear me down. Chloe Carter was there helping behind the counter. Home for spring break, wearing one of the company t-shirts, making lattes for the opening day crowd. Tom was managing the downtown location. Now a full partner with a 20% stake in the company. He'd earned it. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Settlement came through. Ethan's trustee recovered $140,000 from offshore accounts. Checks in the mail. Not everything I'd lost, but enough. More than enough. A woman walked up to the counter. Mid-30s, blonde, confident smile. "This place is amazing," she said. "How long have you been in business?" 15 years, I said. "Started with 1 location. Now we're at 4. "That's impressive. I'm opening a bakery across the street. Maybe we could partner up. Your coffee, my pastries." "Maybe," I said. "I'm Mike, by the way." "Sarah," she said, holding out her hand. "Rachel Mitchell." We talked for 20 minutes. About business, about the neighborhood, about nothing that really mattered. And it felt easy, natural, like conversations supposed to feel. When she left, Chloe Carter came over. "She was flirting with you." Chloe Carter. Dad, she was, and not just a little. She gave you her business card with her personal number on the back. I looked at the card. Sure enough, 10 digits in neat handwriting. "You should call her," Chloe Carter said. "Maybe I will." "Dad, it's been over a year. Mom's moved on. You should too." "Your mom moved on 2 years before we separated." "That's different." "Then call it evening the score. Call it whatever you want. Just call her." I slipped the card into my pocket. "We'll see." That evening, after the grand opening crowd died down, I sat in my new office going over the books. The numbers were good. Better than good. The business was thriving. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Saw the news about the new location. Congratulations. You deserve it." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I deleted it without replying. Because that's the thing about moving forward. You can't do it if you're still looking back. I pulled out Sarah's business card. Looked at those 10 digits. Thought about what Chloe Carter said. Then I texted, "Hey, it's Mike from the coffee shop. Want to grab dinner this week and talk about that partnership?" 3 dots appeared. Then, "I'd love to. Friday work for you?" "Friday's perfect," I wrote back. I set the phone down and looked around my office. At the framed photo of Chloe Carter on the wall. At the business license with my name on it. At the life I'd rebuilt from nothing. Jennifer had taken a lot from me. Money, time, trust. But she hadn't taken the things that really mattered. She hadn't taken my ability to build something real. To stand back up. To start over. And in the end, that's what separated us. She gambled everything on a con artist and lost. I bet on myself and won. The coffee shop was full of customers. Chloe Carter was laughing with someone at the register. The espresso machine hummed. Everything was exactly how it should be. I was 44 years old. Single. Expanding my business. And maybe, just maybe, starting something new too. It wasn't the life I planned 21 years ago when I married Jennifer Carter. It was better.